Hello and welcome back to Genesis Designs and Modelcraft, and today I have a little quick inbox review for you of this Airfix P-51D Mustang kit. This is going to be the subject of the next Modelling for Beginners series, which will begin relatively soon. I need to get some parts in for it and get the artwork done and all of that, but this is going to be it. This kit was initially released by Airfix as a new toolkit in 2017, and some boxings of it, including this one I believe, are currently available on the Airfix website at a price of $28.99, which is not too bad. This actual exact kit I got from modelsforsale.com for $19.99, and there are still some P-51 boxings available on that site at that price, but not this one. There have been 5 different boxings so far: a P-51D original boxing, the F-51D, the Mark IV/P-51K, which is the Dooley Bird one, P-51, this one with the filletless tail, and another P-51D as well. So there's been multiple boxings. I suspect all pretty much have the same plastic parts inside, just with different decals, but we shall see. Completely in the style of modern Airfix stuff. Really awesome box art. I love this. This is great. 2 schemes available. Quite a compact little box, which personally I think is a good thing. But anyway, enough about the box. Let's see what we get inside. Okay, let's get all these things out of here. And we'll start with the plastic parts, all in one bag, as you can see quite easily. Clear parts in a separate bag. I'll pop those over here. And let's, what we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sprues, albeit this is a small one. I'll start with this one. Okay, sprue A, and as you can very easily see, main fuselage and wing parts here, and a big interior looking thing. Now the plastic appears to be the same old nasty soft shoddy light grey plastic that we're beginning to get used to from Airfix, but it's shinier and smoother than many of the other new releases I've seen of late. Much shinier and smoother. The surface detail is quite nicely restrained. It's heavier than the likes of Edward would send out, but it's not excessive by any means. There is that sort of slight woolliness around the edges and little bits of edge flash that again are pretty normal with Airfix kits, unfortunately. Yeah, there's the surface we're more used to seeing. So this looks to me like the cockpit tub and kind of part of the radiator duct area. There's no detail on the inside of any of these parts. The fabric texture is quite nice on this rudder. It's relatively restrained and there's no knee-high rib tapes. And then we have 2, count them. 2 different types of drop tank, the bigger ones and the smaller ones. I think this form of cowl fastener detail is a little bit heavy in its present form, but I prefer it than those silly donuts that everybody else is insisting on doing. And the wing fillet panel is proud of the rest of the surface, which is nice. It looks like a separate panel, as it should. So far, not too bad. That's sprue A. Sprue B then. I took the trouble to put them in order to satisfy those of us with slightly obsessive tendencies, shall I say. Okay, what have we got here? We have cockpit sidewall detail panels. It's kind of chunky, but it looks like with a little bit of paint it'll look quite effective. Radiator ducting, a optional fin parts there. Undercarriage doors, these look really nice, and I especially like the fact that these look like they can be built kind of integrally to the wheelbase, so they're not going to be really fragile. However, that will remove the option to have them at slightly differing angles, because I believe it's the D model Mustangs where the inner or the main undercarriage door covers, if you like, would sort of, let me spit this out the right way around. The retraction cycle of the undercarriage is that the doors will open to allow the undercarriage legs to come out and lock, and then the doors will close back up again under hydraulic pressure, so that when the aircraft is actually landing, these doors will be closed. Okay, and then as hydraulic pressure bleeds away after the engine's shut down, these have a tendency to fall back open again to varying degrees. With them being integral like that, you're not going to be able to do that unless you choose to cut them away, but I'll take the sturdy fixings, honestly. This is probably tail wheel bay here, and then the full span lower wing. Detail exactly matches that on the top. It's quite nicely done, it's crisp. We've got recessed panel lines, we've got recessed fastener detail and raised fastener detail on these central panels. Looks really quite nice to me. Let's get that a bit closer. I should probably point out that I am not in any way a Mustang spurt at all. Okay, sprue C. Sorry, frame C. Sorry, Airfix. Okay, a propeller. Some closed undercarriage doors, so obviously, how have I got a dandelion on this? Just taking it out of the bag, you just saw me do it, and there's a dandelion. Maybe I got a free dandelion with my kit. Yeah, closed undercarriage doors, a propeller obviously, so here we have the interior of the undercarriage bay. It's all moulded integrally, there's no rivet detail, so this truthfully is relatively basic compared to what we may expect from some manufacturers these days. A couple of sets of flaps there, raised and lowered options. There's a pilot figure, although it's a lot basic, honestly, and he is missing a foot. Something is afoot. He is missing a foot. I think it's short shot. He's been done out of that. Tailplanes, and then a leading edge fillet and lower cowell part. Now this is different. I've not seen a Mustang moulded like this before. Interesting. And the fourth and final major frame D. This one includes all our smaller pieces, as you can see. Wheels and such, undercarriage parts, legs, interior parts, different exhausts, all the smaller parts. A couple of bombs. A different cowl vent here, so obviously you could, if you wanted, do the British version because you've got the vents there to do it. You don't necessarily have to buy the boxing with the British markings in it. The wheels are, I think the wheels themselves appear to be the same, but we have two options on tyre tread variant. The sort of archetypal diamond tread or a radial tread. All of them have a flattened area, slight weighting effect, which is quite nicely done actually. Load of detail in the spinner backplate, which will be completely invisible when you fit the spinner, and really quite a nice quilted effect on the pilot's seat there, with some moulded in shoulder straps. And it looks like these here are moulded in lap straps. Can be quite nice. Moulded in seat belts are not a bad thing in my opinion. Radiator faces there, they're very nice. The exhausts look a little bit anemic, so you've got the sort of shrouded American style ones here, and the open or unshrouded versions there. They're not hollowed out. They are again quite basic. It's all competent but basic. I think that's going to be our buzzword for this. Competent but basic. And then finally frame G. There's miniature little extra probably unique to this kit, but I can't guarantee that, and that's the filletless fin assembly. But throughout all of these parts, that sort of rugged surface texture that Airfix kits so often have is not present. They're nice and smooth, which is nice when you're going to have an aircraft that, I mean, almost all the finishes are natural metal or silver. It's nice to not have to do a ton of work just to get it ready to put silver paint on. So transparencies, this is frame E, and we have 3 variants of the main canopy and 2 variants of the windscreen panel. Now this has part of the nose of the aircraft moulded in, which is good because the side windows in particular on the windscreen of the P-51, the frames are not very big, so when the manufacturers mould this as a windscreen, you end up with issues with glue showing and things like that, and difficulty with masking. By moulding this part with some of the fuselage as well, you completely alleviate those issues. Got the undersurface lights there, and I don't truthfully know what these are. These are gun sights. I don't know what that is. These are not well moulded. I'll come up closer in a second. They're not well moulded at all. The canopies, the windscreens aren't too bad, but the canopies are there's quite a lot of distortion. This one has got one of those hairline sort of marks in it from the plastic flow. They almost look as though they've got as though they're oily, but it's a surface texture thing. Not quite up to the standard I expect from Airfix. They're not terrible, but it would certainly benefit from a polish. I don't know, I really don't think most of this is going to translate on video, truthfully, but this one has got a sort of a hairline from mould flow in the plastic. There's nowhere, you will never get rid of that. The rest of them, I think, would just benefit from a polish to smooth the finish out a bit. They're not terrible, but they're not great. So that's all the plastic parts, and there are actually quite a few parts going on there. So let's look at the destructions. Fairly large format booklet in paper and in colour. It follows the standard Airfix premise. Assembly icons down here. Standard construction beginning with cockpit area. I was correct in thinking that part was a combination of the cockpit and part of the radiator duct. Because continuing on there, once we've built the cockpit, we flip it over and build the radiator ducts into it, and even also the tail wheel bay. So the core of the aircraft all on that one part. There's those cockpit side panels, which should look fairly effective with a bit of careful painting. And we do have some placard decals included. Joining the fuselages together, fuselage halves, and adding the engine cowl top. There's the wing going together. And just sandwich the undercarriage bay in. Flaps can be depicted drooped or not, and again there's some data placards to put on there, but don't put them on before you paint it. I think it's relatively correct to show these with the flaps lowered on the ground. Gives you the angles if you want to deflect the ailerons or not. Then fitting the wing and finishing the cowl off. and adding a supplementary nose piece to attach the spinner to at the end there. An assortment of vents and flaps that get added there, then the tail feathers, and then we're onto the undercarriage. Nothing very complex looking here. As you can see, oh, that's even better. So you join these together and then add them as a unit into there. So if you do want them drooped at any particular angle other than fully open, you're going to have to perform some surgery on those. The wheels are keyed, so the axle part has got a notch on it to allow the flat part of the tyre to contact the ground properly, as long as everything's assembled at the correct angles. We can add our armaments should we want any. Drop tanks or bombs. It's only showing drop tanks here, but you clearly could fit bombs to these if you wanted. And then the canopy parts. It does show you, dependent on the version that you're making, which windscreen to use. But we only use canopy number 2 on this kit, which is this one. So it's not the one with the big floor in it, which is nice. And that completes construction. Pretty much just a standard run-of-the-mill construction sequence for our single-engined World War II fighter. Quite a few comments picking me up on saying single-seater. I kind of probably thought in my head single-engined and said with my mouth single-seat. Same difference. Now, schemes. This is the one I will do. Lou 4, flown by Colonel Thomas Jonathan Jackson Christian Jr., 375th Fighter Squadron of the 361st Fighter Group, 8th Air Force, United States Army Air Force, at Royal Air Force Bottisham, Cambridgeshire, July 1944. It's just everything you want all wrapped up in one scheme right there. D-Day stripes, overpainted D-Day stripes, overpainted recognition stripes, yellow nose, nose art, camouflage natural metal silver, it's all there. The decal artist has very thoughtfully provided exact dimensions of all of these stripes to measure out. All very, very nice indeed. The other option, another famous one, Cripes a Mighty 3rd. This one flown by Major George Earl Preddy Jr. of the 328th Fighter Squadron, 352nd Fighter Group, United States Army Air Force at Royal Air Force Bodney in Norfolk, 1944. It's written 1994. I nearly read that out and thought I was making a mistake, but no, the instructions are. Same again, this one's natural metal, clearly with the aluminium painted wing and a blue nose, lots of kill markings, nose art and D-Day stripes. Again, all the measurements are provided. Then the very back page is the stencil placement diagram. Extremely thorough and all 4 views shown, so no need for any guesswork there. Last but not least then, let's check the decals out. Airfix decals are really, really good. I don't know who prints them. I know that some Airfix kits have cartograph decals in, and those are noted on the box and it's written on the sheet. But these are not cartograph, or if they are, they're not saying they are. But Airfix decals are really good. They're very thin. I'll angle it so they're like you can pick up the edges of the decals. They're very thin, and the carrier film is trimmed exceptionally close to the colour part. There's no large areas of carrier film going away from the coloured areas, apart from where they need to be. Obviously things like these serials have to have a bit of carrier linking everything together, but everywhere else they're ever so closely cut, which is great. There's all the stencils. And you do have those internal placards plus instrument panel represented up there. And indeed the propeller stencil detail is also up there. And for those that want to do it, all of the D-Day stripes are reproduced in decal form as well. The stars and bars on this version and the large serials have a silver outline on them, which is actually metallic silver. I don't know if that's going to show, but it's glinting up quite nicely in the lights here. But yes, Airfix decals are excellent. I've never had any problems with them for a long time, so I don't expect there'll be any with that. So that's it then, the Airfix P-51D. Now I do think that this kit probably does get overlooked rather badly with the plethora of other P-51 kits on the market, notably the latest releases from Edward. You know, the modeller could be forgiven for not thinking the Airfix is worth a punt in that sort of competition. And at $28.99, or the full retail price, arguably it isn't, because it's not much different than the price of an Edward Profit Pack kit, which will come with masks and photo etch and more than 2 decal options, and is arguably a better kit in the first place. So, you know, why would you spend almost the same money for an inferior product? However, at the current price availability at $19.99, I'd say it's very definitely worth a punt. And depending, obviously, on the pricing in your local area, wherever that is, I know, for instance, that in the States, Airfix kits are considerably more expensive relative to the competition than they are here. But in the UK, where I am, at £20, it's got to be worth a look, I think. And just to show you this, as of right now, what are we, 28th of June, lunchtime-ish, there are still 5 kits in stock at Models for Sale at $19.99, as you can see there. So there you go, a quick canter through the very recent and newly tooled Airfix P-51D Mustang. I think it looks like a solid offering, a competent kit. Probably not quite up there with the leaders in the market, but it isn't really marketed as being up there with the leaders in the market, I don't think. The price of these kits is always going to be a very personal thing, and the quality of what you get within the kit matters more or less to different modelers. That's a personal choice, and I respect that. At the price that this kit is currently available at, as I said, Models for Sale have a few left still for $19.99, and you can easily buy them for sub £25 on the internet in the UK. At that price, I do think it's worth a look, very much so. The Mustang perfectionists will probably disagree and will probably just go and buy the Edward kit, and that's perfectly fine. But I think this looks a decent model for a sensible price in a market where there aren't many models at sensible prices anymore, so that's worth a thumbs up too. Anyhow, I'll wrap it up there. Looks like a nice one to me, and you're going to get to see this thing built up in all of its glory anyway. So if you don't want to make a decision based on this quick review, then keep an eye on the channel and look out for the Modelling for Beginners Series 2, which will feature this kit. So thanks very much for watching, everyone. Thanks for everyone's continued support, and with all of that said, I think the only thing that's left for me to say is, until next time, look after yourselves, look after each other, and Genesis out.